discussing about the living world, what we had discussed above is what is the need of their classification and how do we do that. For facilitating the proper classification according to their properties, we have grouped them with the different categories in the rank, in the hierarchy. We call them as a taxa, right? So there is a taxonomical hierarchy in which we have seen which are those 7 basic ranks. Those are kingdom, then phylum, then class, order, family, genus and species. To facilitate or to help us classify these into the proper taxa for the proper identification of the species of any animal or a plant, we have few taxonomical aids for us. Which are those aids? We have already discussed about herbarium and botanical gardens, then zoological parks, also museums, and there is another taxonomical aid which is called as a key. Now what is this key exactly? Key is nothing but a set of questions or a lead, we can say, a sentence which represents a choice between two contraindicated or opposite properties. So every key, every sentence represents a choice between two opposite characteristics. So automatically what it facilitates? Acceptance of one and rejections of another. So automatically it leads us to the next level of the question, and bifurcating between the false property and true property, automatically after question we reach to one conclusion which gives us proper classification or identification of that animal or a plant. Let me tell you with an example. Let's understand this key even more properly with the help of an example. Let's see, there is an animal in front of us and we need to identify it. We need to classify it. Which animal is that? Actually any animal which will fit into the kingdom plant, Animalia, right? So kingdom Animalia is a very vast and a huge kingdom, correct? There are n number of animals and it is a huge diversity. So exactly where that animal falls? Here comes a key for our help. Let's see, the key goes like this. There is an animal, good. It has a red blood or it has no red blood? The first level. Can you understand the question? The animal, does it has a red blood or a no red blood? If it has a red blood, automatically we can start thinking about maybe it's a mammal or maybe it's an amphibian or maybe it's a fish or whichever animal which has the red blood. But the animal in front of me has no red blood. So automatically we reject red blood option and we accept no red blood option. Now with no red blood, the next question or the next level of that key, the next pair of opposing characters that is represented to us with that key are, does it has a hard body or it has a soft body? Let's say an animal which has no red blood of that animal is not red in color. If it is a hard body, automatically we can think about an insect, because insects do not have a red blood and they have a hard shell outside their property. We can say an external skeleton they have. So let's talk about the animal species in front of us. It has no red blood. So we have a choice of now a hard body or a soft body. The animal species in front of us has a soft body. So automatically insects are out of question. We have chosen soft body. So with the soft body animals which has no red blood, we have further narrowed down our search, our quest of identification of that animal. Now with the soft body, which another two options, which another two opposing characters lead represented to us is, does that animal has a shell or does that animal has no shell? If it is a shell, an animal without red blood and a soft body with shell, we call it as a shellfish. If it has got no shell, it is a jellyfish. The animal in front of me has no shell on it, so I can identify it as a jellyfish. This was a very simple example of a key in which we can go up to identification of that animal. Generally, keys are very complex level also, starting from very primary stage to very complex, where there is a series of n number of clues, n number of successive selective sentences which represent the choice between two opposing characters. Let's understand this with the help of another example. Let's say there is an animal with red blood, without red blood. Now let's say an animal in front of me has a red blood. So we can think about the red blood animals. There is a huge diversity. It can be a fish, it can be a mammal, it can be an amphibian. The next question arises, if it has a red blood, it can live only in water, it can live on water and the land as well. Now the animal in front of me, I know that it can live only in the water. Automatically we can start thinking about the fishes or many other aquatic animals which cannot live outside the water. So the animal in front of me, the animal in question, has red blood and can live only in the water. So the next set of opposing properties that arises in front of us is the animal with red blood can live only in the water. Does it has scaly body or a plain smooth body? Animal in front of me has a scaly body. It has got scales all over its body. So automatically we can start thinking about the all aquatic animals which has got scales. Next question arises, does it have fins? No fins. Yes, the animal in question has got the fins. So now with the only 4 characteristics, what comes to your mind? The animal with the red blood can live only in the water. It has got scales all over its body and it has got fins. Yes, that's the fish. See how easily from the very vast kingdom Animalia we can shorten down our identification to one species or one kind of animal, that is the fish. Now this is the next part, that which fish, because fishes itself has got huge variety, huge diversification. But this is how the keys help us to identify the species, let it be of the plants or the animals. So in this living world, this chapter, what we have discussed, let's summarize it in a short. Very first, what is the living? We have discussed of n number of characteristics, from growth or reproduction or a metabolism. Metabolism is a sum total of all chemical reactions going inside our body at the cellular level, of course, and also a unique characteristics of sensing the surrounding and responding accordingly. So we can call it, in other words, ability to respond to external stimuli. All these characteristics define the living thing. So instead of looking at a living thing as an entity, as an organism in total, we can look at it as a system, an interactive system. Let's think it at a cellular level. Any organism, be it a unicellular amoeba, paramecium, chlorella, or let it be a higher animal, a multicellular organism with n number of systems, organ systems like human beings or a flowering plants. Any living organism, we can look at it as an interactive system, which is self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating, and which has got a capacity to respond to external stimuli. That is what a living thing is. An all-inclusive definition of a living thing, where a budding biologist learns to look at any living thing at a cellular level, at very basic, where all chemical reactions are taking place inside the cell. Because obviously you all know, cellular structure is the basic entity, a basic building block of any living organism. So when we try to study this living world, huge diversity, right? starting from a single cell animals, single cell living things, be it an amoeba, paramecium, chlorella, or maybe a fungi, yeast, or maybe higher animals, maybe pisces, those are the fishes, or amphibians, animals, plants, or flowering plants. Whatever it is, the living world is a huge, a vast, and it has got so many species that we have up till identified around 1.7 to 1.8 million species. We have recorded them with a specific characteristics. Is it possible for us even to study each and every organism one by one? No, not at all. It's highly impossible. So, to study this living world, to study all the living organisms, we have to make a group. All the living things which exhibit the similar properties, those have to group in a single category, so that we can study the properties of that category and it will relate it to each and every organism which falls under that category. So here comes the need of classification. Very first, any living thing that should be identified. Which living thing is it? Second, it has to be given a name, a proper nomenclature which is uniform throughout the world. So here comes the binomial nomenclature. In our discussion, we have already seen about the nomenclature, this scientific, biological or binomial nomenclature, which consists of two parts. The first part is the name of that genus and second part is the species. Genus is always capitalized when writing down and species starts with a small letter. And whenever it's printed, it's italicized to show its Latin origin. So this is how binomial nomenclature is there. For example, what a human being is called in binomial. What is our scientific name? Our scientific name is a Homo sapiens. Or let me give you an example of a thing of very day-to-day life. I must say that to complete your diet, you must have a Oryza sativa and Triticum aestivum in your food. What do you understand by that? Doesn't it sound funny? Yes, it's funny, but doesn't matter whether you are in Japan or in India or in European country or in US or Africa. If you say Oryza sativa, you denote only one single thing, that is a rice. Or Triticum aestivum, it's a wheat. So what I told in that sentence was simply, you should include a rice and a wheat in your diet to make it nutritious. That's it. This is how binomial nomenclature works. Now, once we have identified the organism, once we have decided its name which is uniform throughout the world, now to make a proper study, we have to put that organism in a proper category. That category in different ranks, it has got the name taxon or a taxa we should say. There is a hierarchy of taxonomic structure. In that hierarchy, there are 7 basic ranks. First is kingdom. Kingdom is the highest rank. Then comes phylum or division. Phylum in case of animals, division in case of plants. So kingdom followed by phylum. Then comes class, order, family, genus and species. These are the taxonomical order. And this is how in different taxa they include animal. Each and every animal can, or a plant or any living thing can be placed somewhere in this hierarchy. For example, let's take an example of a human being. We fall under kingdom Animalia. What is our phylum? We fall under phylum Chordata. In Animalia, kingdom Animalia, there are different phyla, out of which one phyla is a Chordata. The Chordata phyla denotes all those animals which have notochord or a dorsal hollow nervous system. So we have a spine, right? And in the spine we have a neural system, our spinal cord. So we fall under phylum Chordata. What is our class? Our class is Mammalia. What is our order? Our order is a Primata. Primata, all the primates means gibbons, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees. Those are distant relatives, right? We can say those are our cousin brothers in terms of evolution. So our order is Primata. What is our family? Our family is Hominidae. In Primata order, there are n number of families, out of which we belong to family Hominidae and genus Homo, species Sapiens. So our name is, a scientific name of a human being is a Homo sapien. And how we are taxonomically placed? We are placed in kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Primata, family Hominidae, genus Homo and species Sapiens. Correct. This is how we classify these organisms. And to understand this taxonomical hierarchy properly, to our help for identification, we have a number of taxonomical aids. Those are herbarium, museums, then botanical gardens, zoological parks, and the keys. Obviously, the keys we have discussed with the help of example. So this is how we have summarized whatever there in this topic, the living world. Let's go through the exercises. Let's see which are the question and answer on this topic.
Choose the right kindergarten, a right bag, and matching bottle to go with. The right school, the right friends. Choose the right subjects and score well. Be an expert in all. The right teacher, and make sure that they like you. Choose the right timing, the right bus, and take a cab if getting late. The right train, and don't stand near the gates. Mind the pockets. Better get into ladies' compartment, and make sure your mustache hasn't started coming. Choose the right study time and forget games. IPL, IHL, rock and metal, guitar, axe. The right group, and be a model to your brother. Seriously. Choose the right syllabus, the right test paper. Keep guessing questions for exams. Choose the right branch, the right college, the right stream. Choose the right career. Lucky to have a father's business to take care of and a father to allow that. The right counselor, the right form, and make sure the project is submitted on time. Choose the right website and rely on your friends for more information. Oblivious of the sites they have been to, there is no end to your woes. Getting better with every step you climb up the ladder. The summer vacation shorter, the bucket list bigger, the night darker, the books heavier. The only light you have is your friends ahead of you. Probably he is right. Ever thought how he got the direction? No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes. No more missing classes for rain, rally, and nonsense. Get your interest back in subjects through our creative ways of teaching. Doubts, concepts, applications, all explained through one vibrant animation. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Special programs only for basic foundation and paper analysis. Personality development, career counseling, admissions, hobbies, all covered. A new approach to study with long-term perspective. So sit back comfortably in your homes and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
So friends, let's go through question and answers. The first question, why are living organisms classified? Very obvious reason, we are all budding biologists, right? We need to learn about the living things, every living organism. And there is a vast variety, vast diversity in this living arena. So, to facilitate and to help us study them properly, we need to group them in a particular category which represent the similar properties. So that is the need why all the living organisms are classified. Let's go to the next question. Why are the classification system changing every now and then? I have already mentioned up till now how many species we have succeeded in recording. Somewhere around 1.7 to 1.8 million. Do you think our living world has ended over here? No, there are still many millions unknown species. We are unaware of them. Maybe deep down in the sea where we have not yet reached, or maybe other extraordinary habitats. We are unaware of all those species. We only know about some 1.7 or 1.8 million species. And this has not been done overnight. In due course of prolonged time, all the biologists are working hard day and night to search, identify species and put them in a different categories. So, there was a need of proper system of classification. Day by day, when we come to know about the new species and new species come into our directory, automatically according to their properties, we have to modify our classification systems. So, in this due course of prolonged time, since we have started learning about the living organisms, this system of classification has always been metamorphosed. Means it has always been remoduled. It has always been changed according to the need of whichever species we are coming across. So that is the basic reason, and I think the system of classification which is we are using now, that is the taxonomical structure, we are classifying the animals, right? The 7 basic ranks we have seen. This is the worldwide accepted classification thing, expected to change in very few coming years, because all the new species are again and again found out. I have shown you for the basic study purpose, I have discussed the basic 7 ranks, right? But actually, when we go through, if you can Google it out, there are not only 7 ranks used in today's. There is a super kingdom, there is a kingdom, there is a sub kingdom. If we talk about the phylum, there are superphylum, there are superphyla, phylas, subphylas, and there are a number of ranks. It's still getting changed day by day. But for our study purpose, we will think about the 7 ranks. That's enough. But yes, sure, our system of classification is changing every now and then, just because we are coming across the new species every now and then. Let's go to the next question. What different criteria would you choose to classify people that you meet often? The first question arises in my mind, who are those people who we meet often? We go to the college and we see our classmates, right? Most of the time we spend with them. So let's think about our all classmates. Which are the criteria we should use? The first thing comes in my mind is their gender, their sex, whether male or female. So first criteria I would use is their gender. Males are put in this category, females are put in category B, females. Now, after classified them on the criteria of their sex, their gender, we would further classify them with the, let's say, a name. From A to Z, as we find it in a directory, in proper order, we will classify them. Now, there is a possibility that 2 individuals have the same name, right? So how to identify differently those 2 individuals, those 2 classmates which are males as well as having the same name, or maybe a female with the same name. Then the third criteria I would use would be their surname. So the people will be classified according to their gender, according to their name, according to their surname as well. If at all, after all this classification, if there are individuals which have the same gender, which have the same name and the surname, then to classify those 2 classmates, I would use the another criteria, that is their roll number, because roll number is a unique, right? No 2 classmates will have the same roll number. So if we use these 4 criteria, their gender, their name, their surname and their roll number, if we use these 4 criteria, automatically every single classmate can be put to the exact spot of identification. So I think these 4 would be enough for classification of the people who we meet often. Let's go to the next question. What do we learn from identification of individuals and populations? See, whether it is a individual or a population of maybe thousands or millions of those individuals, when we learn about them, when we identify them on the basis of their properties. So, with the identification of an individual, we come to know about their basic properties. And actually in that population, all the individuals share the same properties throughout. So what do we come to know after the identification or the study of those individual or a property? That a population, we can roughly say a species do exhibit very similar properties. That's why that is the reason why they are put into one category. One population, we can say a population of those individuals. Second, in a higher organisms, obviously I'm saying about, is if the individual belong to one specific population of the species, they can intercorrelate, they can interbreed, and they can produce a viable, fertile progeny as well. So there is a relation between all those individuals among the same population, and the nature cycle continues with that. Let's go to the next question. The next question is, given below is the scientific name of mango. Identify the correct written name. What is the scientific name of mango? Mangifera indica. So it is written in 2 different fashions. Mangifera indica, where the genus name and species name both are capitalized, both are starting with the capital letter. And the second option, Mangifera indica, first letter, the genus name starting with the capital letter and the species name starting with the small letter. We have already seen in the characteristics of the binomial nomenclature that first part of binomial nomenclature, the genus name is always capitalized, and the species name, the second part of binomial nomenclature, always starts with a small letter. So obviously the second option, Mangifera indica, is correct. Let's go to the next question. Define a taxon. Give some examples of taxa at different hierarchical levels. Now what is the taxon? We have already seen it. Taxon is a category where we put the animals which exhibit the similar properties, and it is used for the purpose of proper classification of the living things. What are the examples? There are the different hierarchical levels, right, for the taxonomical classification. Which are those? Which are those taxa? Let's go through one by one. The highest rank of taxonomical classification, the highest taxon is a kingdom. Yes. Then comes the phylum, then class, order, family, genus, and species. These are some taxa at different hierarchical levels, with the help of which we identify and classify the living organisms well. Good, let's go to the next question. Can you identify the correct sequence of taxonomical categories? We have got 3 options. Option A, species, order, phylum, and kingdom. Option B, genus, species, order, and kingdom. Option C, species, genus, order, and phylum. We already know in an ascending order of these ranks, how do we go? Species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, and kingdom. So if we go through this ascending order, option A and option C are correct. Option B, genus and species, are actually wrongly placed. If species would have been the first letter and then genus would have come, even option B would have been correct. That's why in a given 3 options, option A and option C are correct, option B is wrong. Let's go to the next question. Try to collect all the currently accepted meanings for the word species. Discuss with your teacher the meaning of species in case of higher plants and animals on one hand and bacteria on other hand. Let's have an insight about basic meaning of species itself. There are 2 basic meanings. 1. While classification of animals or plants a living organism. Basically, we know the last taxon, the last category of classification comes the species. In species, we actually organize all those living organisms which exhibit throughout similar properties. So the animals with the similar properties are placed into the species. So that is one meaning of a species, that this species denotes all those animals which have the similar properties. What is the another meaning? There is another meaning for species. Species denotes those animals which can breed, which can interbreed and produce a viable, fertile progeny. Let me give you an example. In a kingdom Animalia, there is a phylum Chordata, there is a class Mammalia, there is an order Carnivora, there is a family Felidae, there is a genus Panthera. In this genus Panthera, there are a number of animals, different animals. A tiger also falls under this genus Panthera. A lion, that can also fall under this genus Panthera. Now, do tiger and a lion belong to same species? No, but they both belong to kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Carnivora, family Felidae, genus Panthera. But they cannot interbreed and produce a viable, fertile progeny. Tigers can breed in between tigers only and reproduce small tigers, we can say cubs. Lions do interbreed in between lions only and they produce a viable, fertile progeny, a small young lions, right? So they have to put in two different species, and those species are species tigris is for the all tigers and species leo is for all lions. So automatically tiger's scientific name becomes Panthera tigris. Scientific name of a lion becomes Panthera leo. So automatically these two become a different animal, a different species altogether. So this is how species also denotes all those animals which actually interbreed and produce a viable, fertile progeny. So on the one hand, when we talk about the higher organisms, plants, animals, species denotes those animals which can interbreed. On the other hand, bacteria, all the bacteria which exhibit the similar properties, that can be placed into one species of bacteria. There are a number of species of bacteria, we can go into details some other time for those. Let's go to the next question. Define and understand the following terms. First is phylum. Phylum is a second rank hierarchy in taxonomical structure. It is a group of living organisms which include many classes altogether. What is the class? Class is a taxonomical rank, a taxon which include many orders altogether. Family. Family is another taxon which is a group of many related genera. Yes. And what is the order? Order is a taxonomical rank which consists of many related families. And the genus is the taxonomical rank which include all the related species, different species. The example we have taken is Panthera tigris, Panthera leo. Panthera is a genus which includes tigers also and lions also. The species are actually related to each other. Let's go to the next question. How is the key helpful in the identification and classification of an organism? We have already seen the keys as a taxonomical aid to help identify the living organism in question, to put it at the proper place in hierarchy of a taxonomy. Let's take an example once again. if there is an animal in front of me, key is actually a sentence, a question, a lead which represents the two opposing characteristics, which facilitates acceptance of one character, rejection of another, and it leads us to the next level of identification, and this continues up till identifying that question. Let's have a very simple example of this key. There is an animal in question in front of me. I need to identify it. The key goes like this: animal has red blood, has no red blood. Okay, the animal in front of me has no red blood. Okay, the next level of this key gives me the choice between hard body and a soft body. If an animal without red blood has a hard body, obviously I can start thinking about the insects. But the organism I'm talking about, the living thing I'm talking about, has got a soft body. So insects are again out of question. Now I have narrowed down my quest of identification of this animal to very few options. The living things which have no red blood, an animal without red blood and has a soft body. So the next pair of opposing characters with this key follows like: does it have shell or does it have no shell? With a shell, a soft body, without red blood animal, I can think about a shellfish. Or if it is an animal without shell, soft body and has no red blood, I can think about a jellyfish. This is how a living organism in front of me, I have narrowed down my identification and classification with the help of this key to a jellyfish. This is how keys help us in identification and classification. Let's go to the next question. Illustrate the taxonomical hierarchy with suitable example of plant and an animal. We have already seen our own, as in human being, we have already seen our hierarchical structure in a taxonomy. Let's go through once again. A human being: kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Primata, family Hominidae, genus Homo, species Sapiens. Let's take another example of a tiger: kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Carnivora, family Felidae, genus Panthera, species Tigris. Let's take an example of a plant. So that was all about the question and answers on the natural resources. So friends, stay tuned to the study spectrum, keep studying and have a fun. Thank you very much.